I remember I went to the job center because at that time I was unemployed. I went to the job center and I said to the woman, very, very conservative woman, I said, she said to me, what would you like to do, or what kind of jobs would you like to do? And I said, well, I was very naive. I said, well, I want to run a gallery, and I want to run the gallery in London. And she was like, oh my God, how can I explain this person? He's a bit naive, you know. Yeah, my name is Lorenzo Belenguer. I'm Spanish. And my journey ended up in Westminster, in London, especially in Westminster. It's a bit of a long one. Now in my early 50s, I work as a visual artist, and sometimes I work in films as an extra. I'm always within the creative industry. When I was born in a rural area in Spain, and it was tough because I was the effeminate. I'm an effeminate person and effeminate gay. And at that time, it was early 70s, the dictator Franco was still alive. And the prejudice was really bad. And the bullying by children, there was no what, you couldn't go to anybody at that time. No, you couldn't go to the teachers, because if you are bullied, it's your fault. Be a man. And I come from a toxic family, so I couldn't go to my parents either. So there was no one to go to, and you become resilient. And you try, the strategy is to mitigate being bullied, mitigate harm, and to try to become invisible. So that was my childhood, that was my teenagehood. So after that, I was looking for jobs, and they said, well, it's very good that you speak French, but you've got to speak English. So then is when I thought, okay, it's either the US or England or the UK. And the UK at that time was part of the European Union. So I thought, it's easy peasy. You don't need a visa, you don't need a special permit. It's closer to home, it's only a 2-hour flight. So I got a job through an agency in a small hotel in Sonning-on-Thames. And it was a small village by the Thames River, a 5-star hotel, but that's it. There was nothing else to do. And again, coming back to Paris, the action in a tiny village. We were in the one of the hall just for staff members. Everybody was on drugs because there was nothing else to do, and it wasn't my scene either. So eventually I moved to Reading, where I start, building up my personality, growing up as a person, going to gay clubs in Reading and going to gay clubs in London. I remember the first time I went to Heaven, and it was Heaven. It was such a wonderful experience, and I kind of, in part, I understand other testimonies about going clubbing, especially in London, and in those times. But then also I wanted to grow as an artist, because I had this kind of prejudice as being a visual artist is something only for the rich or the well-connected. But I didn't know how to start painting. I didn't know where to exhibit. Because if you go to the art school, you already have a structure that helps you. But if you don't know anybody. So I had a one-to-one meeting with an expert in art, and he said something to me that is always very important. It's been like a bit of my motto. Because I complained to him, I said, no one is giving me an opportunity to exhibit and to sell my works and to grow as an artist. And he said to me, well, if no one gives you an opportunity, you create your own opportunities. Go back to Reading, set up a group of artists, and start exhibiting in empty shops. So that's what I did. I was very lucky because at that time we have the Yellow Pages, the book. There was the artist section. I didn't know the artist, so I called the first person in the list. The first person in the list happened to be the it girl of Reading. She knew everybody. So through her, we start getting empty shops, we start exhibiting, we start selling. I start getting the experience of more the commercial side of being an artist, but also meeting other artists. And that went very, 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 very well, really, really well. But then, of course, at some point, you need to move to London because it's like, it's the big hub. London and New York, the two big hubs. And you are in the outskirts of one of the big hubs of the world, and you have to be in it somehow. So that is when I remember I went to the job center because at that time I was unemployed. I went to the job center and I said to the woman, very, very conservative woman, I said, she said to me, what would you like to do, or what kind of jobs would you like to do? And I said, well, I was very naive. I said, well, I want to run a gallery, and I want to run the gallery in London. And she was like, oh my God, how can I explain this person? He's a bit naive, And she said to me, listen, no, it doesn't work like that. You have to start, you become a volunteer in Reading. So, London is too good for you to work for free. So anyway, I didn't pay attention to her. And a week later, a friend of mine said, there's this gallery in Northwest London, in Willesden Green, and they are looking for a gallery director. Why don't you apply for it? So I applied for it, and 60 people applied for that job, and I got it. I got it because I already had experience on running galleries, getting funding, getting things published. And then I came back to the woman in the job center. I said, in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to London. She said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to run a gallery. And then I just came to London, and for 7 years, I ran the gallery in Willesden Green, which was an amazing experience because it's a working class area. So we have an amazing Irish community, a lovely Afro-Caribbean community. So it was really, really nice. All these communities together, enjoying art, talking to each other. Of course, there was wine that helped, but it was a really nice mix of different communities. And then after that, I worked until 2012. And by 2012, I was exhausted because I also did a project for the Olympics where I was collecting, it was oral histories about Londoners, about the Olympics. It went very well. It was selected by the City Hall. It was exhibited in the City Hall as one of the top 10 projects in London, top 10 community projects in London. It was £85,000 project. We had a team. So it went really, really, really well, that project. But I think I was thinking back, I was on the verge of a breakdown because I was just doing too much. And so October 2012, leave the gallery and the project, that's it. And now what I'm going to do. And I always wanted to live between Kensington Gardens and Portobello Road Market. In the middle, between the both places, because I love Hyde Park, I love the Kensington Gardens, and I love the vibe of Portobello Road Market. So I had a few horrible experiences when I was looking for flats, until I found the flat where I am now, which I've been living for 10 years. It's a studio flat in Bayswater. And that's how it's kind of started growing as an artist. I had a very good experience. I was very lucky once I exhibited in the Tate Modern, where they were selecting artists that didn't come from art schools. So that was one experience. As I said, the Testimonies project. And then I started doing a bit of performance. Now, for instance, I've been selected as a group of artists, LGBTQ plus artists. We've done a mural for the British Museum as part of the Michelangelo exhibition. So I feel like living in London and living in Westminster, it belongs to everybody. And that's very beautiful. It's very beautiful that any meeting you have, any group of artists you meet, is an international. People from Africa, people from Asia, European, from another part of England, from Scotland, Ireland. And I feel London is a place that belongs to everyone. And that allows me to grow as a person. I think London is a place that is non-judgmental. For me as a queer, as a non-binary person, I feel I can be myself with no problem. I can meet, I can grow as a person, I can grow as an artist. There's some of the best institutions in the world are here, like the British Museum, which I'm working now. So I would say this is my place, this is home. London for me now is home, it's a place to be.